Welcome back, everybody. It's Nick Kypreos, the real Kipper at noon. We said during the off season we're going to come in, break down a few things here and there, add some opinion, and yes, every once in a while, have a great one-on-one conversation with some of the biggest names in hockey. That's the case right now. Pleased to join the real Kipper at noon show here, Max Domi. Now a Columbus Blue Jacket. Max, thanks for doing this, pal. I really appreciate it. And first and foremost, congratulations on becoming a Columbus Blue Jacket and, of course, the new contract.
Thanks a lot, Kip. Appreciate it. Honored to be on here. And you guys have been killing it. So great job. And it's a pleasure to be on here with you.
Thanks. When you look at the off season now, and we've seen it right from the draft to some buyouts to free agency, some unsettling times, Max, for a lot of players. You're one of the few lucky ones. And, whether it's Pietrangelo, yourself, Josh Anderson, you're able to make a change and kind of take care of business. But for a lot of other players right now, it's got to be tough, eh?
Yeah, it's tough. I got some of my closest buddies are still out there looking for jobs, and guys that you know how it works, Kip. Like you'd be like, this guy should have a job. He's a full-time NHL player, and they still don't have one. So it's the unfortunate reality of where we're at right now. And the pandemic's been hurting a lot of people in a lot of ways, and definitely hurting the hockey community as well. So definitely hoping they all get jobs and hoping it works out. But it's tough times for sure.
So what has it been like from the moment that you found out that you were traded to hearing that your agent was negotiating with Columbus and then signing? Give us a rundown of maybe the last week and a half.
It's been crazy. You know how it is, and it is a business. That's the one thing that I have learned. You can't get too emotionally attached to a certain place, and you learn that the hard way. It was tough. I love Montreal. I would have loved to spend the rest of my career in Montreal, but hey, it is what it is. And I'm lucky enough to be going to a team that obviously wants me, a team that's ready to win now, a team that's very well coached, GM that's obviously been making some moves. So super honored to be joining the Blue Jackets. Can't wait to get down there. And from the very get-go, as much as it was a shock to me, and it's always tough when you get traded. It doesn't matter who you're going to or where you're getting traded from. It's always just a bit of a culture shock to you, and understanding that you're not gonna have the same teammates. You have new teammates now. That's the toughest part. But for the most part, man, it's been exciting, and it's all sunk in now. I've spoken to their coaching staff, their management, and lots of their players as well. And I'm excited to be a part of the group. And like I said earlier, we got a great hockey team that's ready to win, and we're a team that obviously is going to work hard every single night. And we got everyone buying in. And it's pretty awesome group to be a part of, that's for sure.
I certainly want to get into that in great detail in terms of the opportunity now with Columbus and Tortorella, the nut. And I love him. I absolutely love him. But man, oh man, are those press conferences something to see? And we'll get into a little bit of that. But just in overall, Max, you went from a place like Arizona to the Montreal Canadiens, and that I went from Hartford to the New York Rangers, and it's from absolutely, almost zero attention to a huge stage. And you really had that. You had one spectrum of Arizona where you're lucky if you get one or two beat reporters following you, to that bubble in Montreal. Tell us a little bit about that experience, because I know probably in hindsight, you would have been nicer to maybe stay longer, have more success there, but it just didn't happen. But can you just speak a little bit of what it was like to go from a market like Arizona to Montreal?
Yeah. Firsthand, obviously I grew up with a dad that, very well. And, he kind of made the most of this big market. And Montreal is huge, but obviously Toronto is the hockey mecca of the world. Montreal, Toronto, same sort of thing for that. But he loved it and he embraced it. And obviously he's my dad, so we're pretty similar personalities, pretty similar characteristics. And it was something that I always wanted to kind of experience. And I was lucky enough to do that with the Habs. That being said, obviously Arizona was a great place for me to start my career. Coming in with a young team, and you kind of share that experience together, make some awesome friendships. You're living in a great place. Weather's fantastic. People are great there. It was an up-and-coming team, and obviously had some veteran leadership, guys like Shane Doan, Mike Smith, all that. So I think it was a great mix. Came in with Dave Tippett as a coach, and And then Rick Tocchet talks outstanding. I still talk to Talk all the time. He's one of the best people out in hockey, that's for sure. So I've been very, very lucky. And then to go to Montreal was a place that obviously I wanted to be, and had some success there early on. And for whatever reason, obviously this year was a little bit different. We came up short, and that's just the reality of how things work. And like I touched on earlier, and you know firsthand, is it's a business, and that's how it works. So you can't take it personally. And like I said, I'm excited to just kind of move on to the next chapter now.
When I look at your year in Montreal, where you looked like you're well on your way to establishing yourself as a 25, 30 goal scorer, maybe a point a game guy. And then it fell backwards. And I know you publicly came out and said that at times you thought there was not a lot of communication. Just in terms of now, Max, what today's player needs in terms of feedback and communication? Because, you know, in my day, with growing up in that era with your dad, I mean, there wasn't a lot of communication. It was just like, you know, shut up and play and just do what you're told, and we'll come to you if we need you. And today, I think it's much different. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I mean, I think you could take that in two ways from what I said. But listen, I don't need communication by any means, but definitely helps when you're going through certain situations. And obviously, this year was I mean, first of anything. I mean, that's never happened before, so that's kind of where you would want communication to come in. But hey, that's behind me now. And I mean, you look back at it, and obviously the first year I came in, played a position I hadn't played in the NHL before. That was the very first time I played center. Again, we didn't really talk about that much either, but got kind of thrown into that, and it worked out great. It worked out great in my favor. And I don't know if I would have made that transition to center otherwise. You know, you just kind of get thrown into it, and it forces you to be uncomfortable. And sometimes when you're uncomfortable, it brings out the best in you for some people. So that kind of brought me back to my roots. The last time I played center prior to my first year in Montreal was when I was, I want to say 16 years old, the first 2 months of my London Knights days. And then after that, we traded for a couple of guys, and I moved to the wing, and the rest is history. So I definitely looked at myself as a winger, but had a taste of it my first year. I was like, oh, wow, you have the puck way more. You're going to use your speed way more. I like this a lot better. And I was working out. Obviously, it was tough with face-offs and playing your own end. And the responsibility that comes with that's a lot when you're going against guys that have done that their whole life. So playing a little bit of catch-up with that, which is tough. But overall, I mean, you came into the next season and real high expectations, not just for myself, but for our team. We were so close that first year. And we're like, all right, we're right there. We just got to get over the hump. And it started out pretty well. Our whole team, we did pretty good. And then kind of things went sideways, obviously, and we had 2 8-game losing streaks. And I mean, usually when that stuff happens, you're looking for some sort of spark to happen, some sort of change, and then obviously none of that stuff happened. So it was tough. That was the first time that I've experienced that feeling going to the rink and think, yeah, this is it's not as fun as it should be. And that's a huge learning experience for me as an individual athlete. Is you got to learn how to battle adversity. It's one thing to say you can do it, but then once you get really into it, your true colors come out. And I think as a group, we were struggling to work through that sometimes. But and at the end of the day, I mean, we still made the playoffs. Obviously, not a standard format, but we got in. Surprised a lot of people, but we were a good hockey team, and they still are a great hockey team. They're actually an outstanding hockey team, and I wish them the best. But for whatever reason, it didn't work out, and it's unfortunate. But that chapter's been closed, and I wish them the best. But I'm definitely looking forward to the future here now.
And some of those nights I'd be watching you, Max, and I don't know whether I'm going to see you at center or left wing. And now it appears that there isn't going to be a question mark. At least when I start watching the Columbus Blue Jackets, I know you're going to be a center iceman.
Yeah, that's the best thing is I mean, I know back when you probably played too, it was probably the same thing. It didn't really matter where you played. You're expected to play the same way. And that's how I was raised. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it definitely helps when you have that trust. And you know that your coaches have that trust in you to play the middle of the ice, and you're going to show up to the rink. And I don't want it to come across as like you expect to be handed things, because that's never what we're looking for. I mean, as NHL hockey players, you got to earn your stripes every single day. It doesn't matter how old you are, how many years you've been in, what you've done in the past. I mean, you're expected to get better every single day, and that hasn't changed. But just knowing that I'm going into camp and I'll be in the middle of the ice and playing with some great players, whoever that might be, it's an unbelievable forward lineup there, a lot of depth. So I'm just really looking forward to that opportunity.
And a head coach now who's got quite the reputation in John Tortorella. And I want to ask you, just in terms of what do you really know about him? How much have you talked to him in the past? Listen, I know I watched you growing up, Max, and you got access to some of the best hockey people in the world. But did you ever come across John Tortorella? And if not, what was that first phone call like with him?
I mean, I got so much respect for Torts, and I was a fan of him before I made it to the NHL because of obviously the intensity he carried with the media and the fun he'd have, and he's a competitive guy. So again, that's how I was raised with my dad, kind of firsthand. I dealt with that every single day, and he didn't care what you had to do it was anything to help the team win. And I mean, what Torts has done with that group is pretty incredible. And everyone I've talked to, whether it's current players or players in the past, have all said the same thing: is like, you are gonna love Torts. Like, he is awesome. It's definitely hard sometimes, and that's what it should be. I mean, you got to earn it, but he'll let you know if you're not playing well. He'll let you know, but if you're playing well, he'll just keep throwing you out there. And I don't think I've ever had that before, so I'm looking forward to that experience, and definitely kind of embracing the challenge of playing for a guy like Torts. And he's one of the most respected people in hockey, right? So, like I said, past players, guys like Derek Stepan. I mean, the list goes on. And Marty St. Louis, loved a guy like that. It's a guy I look up to, and then players that play for him now. I mean, they all love Torts, and everyone's got their flaws in terms of the media and what they think of certain individuals. But until you actually know someone, I don't think it's fair to make a judge on them. And I'm looking forward to getting to know Torts really well. And the first phone call I had was extremely positive. He's really excited. I'm really excited. And I'm excited to learn from him too. He's going to help me out and help me develop as a player. Still relatively young, I guess, but he's looking forward to that opportunity, and so is the rest of his staff. And they've been unbelievable as of the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
I know he's publicly talked on already what you're going to bring to the table, and he loves all of it. He talked about your personality, but he also talked about a discipline that comes with that personality. And
yep.
You know, at times, Max, we've seen emotion get the best of you on the ice.
Yeah,
you were much
sure.
better this year, by the way, right? I mean, you were able to curtail it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, again, kind of going back to what I just said, Kyper, and you know this too. I mean, you have kids, and I mean, you have different relationships with friends and stuff, and everyone's got different things that they have going on. They're different types of personalities, and you have to learn how to manage that. But one thing that I've been a big believer in, I mean, since I've been a kid, is you can't try and change someone too much. And listen, I don't want to be that guy that's known as someone that will take penalties and someone that you can't count on. But no one wants to be that guy. And of course, there's a fine line, and you don't want to hover too close to it, which I definitely do it sometimes. But again, competitive guy, I want to win. And I mean, that's 60 minutes we're out there. I'll do absolutely anything it takes to win. So it's just a matter of honing that in. And the first thing that Tort said to me was, I'm not going to try and change who you are, which is super refreshing for me to hear from a guy like that. He wants to help me hone that in and make me a better player. So definitely it's exciting for me. I mean, I'm going into an organization that knows what I am, knows what I can bring to the table, and they have high expectations, obviously, just as I have high expectations of myself. And that's what you want, is you want to go somewhere where you're wanted. You want to go somewhere where they see you doing big things, and they're prepared to help you get to the next level. And that's what I want to be. I want to be obviously as good as I possibly can and help a team win a Stanley Cup. So whatever that takes, I'm definitely prepared to do.
And how well do you know that lineup? I'm sure you've studied it on occasion, and
yep.
and maybe envisioned centering a line like Bjorkstrand and maybe Nick Foligno, or those type of the names that you hear that you could be linked to start next season with.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, I know firsthand that lineup. It's one of the hardest teams, if not the hardest teams in the past that I've ever had to play against. I mean, they don't take a shift off or a game off. Every game I played against Columbus, home or away, you're in for a long night. So it'll be nice to be on the other end of that. That's for sure. The first line, second line, third line, fourth line, they all just come at you in waves. And before you know it, you're like, holy smokes, like what just hit us? And I mean, that just kind of speaks volumes to the locker room they have there and the depth they have. The leadership, I mean, with guys like Foligno and stuff, Cam Atkinson. I mean, I know their lineup inside out basically now because I've been studying it. But you look at even someone like Gus Nyquist, he doesn't get enough credit around the league, but he's a very smart player, plays hard, been around for a long time. Like I touched on, Foligno, obviously, Cam Atkinson, and this PL Dubois. I mean, I didn't really get to know him that well yet, but I've texted him a couple times, and playing against this guy, he's elite already, and he's going to be a superstar in this league. So to have a guy like that to kind of go alongside with is super exciting for someone like me.
God, and you just look at some of the dynamic duels out there in terms of 1-2 punches down the middle, and the biggest one we know is McDavid and Draisaitl. But you and Pierre-Luc Dubois now back to back have a chance to kind of carry that extension of two good centermen that can come at you in waves. That's got to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm pumped, and obviously even to learn from a guy like that. I know he's younger than me, but how he's developed his game. I mean, coming into the NHL at a young age, playing a center ice position is not exactly easy to do. So being able to kind of go along that learning curve with a guy like that is exciting. Obviously, we both bring very different things to the table for the game, but he's a competitive guy, and I'm excited to kind of play behind a guy like that for sure.
Well, you go from a great defenseman in Montreal and Weber to one like Seth Jones. And Max, were you able to watch the 5 overtimes?
Oh yeah,
in the
I
bubble?
even tweeted something out. I was like, "That is just absolutely ridiculous." I'm sitting there and at the hotel in Royal York, there in Toronto, and I was just like, "This is insane!" Like, kind of tip your caps to these guys. It's unbelievable. But like you touched on, Jonesy is a guy that actually came to the league with, drafted with, know him a little bit. Hate to play against him because he's so good.
Yeah.
As good as he is offensively, like defensively, you can't get around him. He's so agile, he's so mobile, and his stick is just second to none. So I mean, you get a guy like that, and then on top of that, you have Zach Werenski, who's offensively, I mean, what he can do is unbelievable as well. Those guys are both elite. And then even after that, you got Gavrikov, who I actually played against in the World Juniors. Very hard to play against, especially when you get your hand down low. You're not going to win many battles against that guy. And Savard, again, one of my most hated guys to play against for sure. And we'd always go at it, and the first thing he did was text me and said, "All right, can't wait to have you on my side now." And I was like, "Oh, likewise, man." It was always a long night going against Savard. I mean, he's such a good player, and he brings so much to the table. And every single guy, both forwards and D, these guys just absolutely eat pucks, and they're prepared to make the sacrifices it takes to win. Obviously, that starts from Torts. I mean, kind of leading the ship there. But everyone buys into the system, and I'm just looking forward to buying in just like they do.
God, remarkable. The guy played an hour in that hockey game in Seth Jones. And still...
He's a specimen.
He is. And you got a big, heavy team, and you come in with the right balance to give him that speed up the middle, that water bug that just goes and goes. It's going to be a nice look for Columbus.
I'm looking forward to it, Kip.
All right, so listen, I'm gonna throw some stuff out at you, and you're just gonna pick one. And if you want to kind of add to it, you can add to it, or else we'll move on. It sounds good?
Perfect.
All right, pick one with Max Domi. McDavid or McKinnon?
Oh man, you can't do that to me. I'm picking them both.
Yeah,
you're so good. Okay, I'll give you an answer, and I mean, out of respect for Connor, what he's done,
yes,
you got to pick him. But I will say that it's a 1A, 1B because Nate is just he's off the charts. This guy.
It's nowhere in any way disrespecting the talent of Connor McDavid, but I think the mere fact that you are now pausing, and a lot more people are pausing to think about it, shows how far McKinnon has come to close the gap. And it's that power that McKinnon brings that I think has closed the gap. You tell me.
Yeah, the reason why I paused, and I mean, I'm giving them a tie because I'm giving you your answer for your pick one. It's 1A, 1B. But if I'm actually being honest, it's a tie because, like you said, everyone has always been like Connor McDavid is best player by far. And don't get me wrong, he's definitely up there. But you have a guy like Nate McKinnon, who I know personally, have played with him, played against him. He is an absolute horse out there. And not that Connor isn't, but he's got an edge to him, Nate. And I mean, when you look at playoff hockey and what he's able to do and elevate his game and make his teammates that much better, that's a huge plus for a guy like, the dog. He's the man, and they both are.
Yeah,
a lot of respect for both of them. I've won with both of them, and I'm super
Yeah.
I mean, obviously lucky to experience that, but I'm happy for both of them and what they've done so far and what they're going to continue to do.
And we're lucky that we get to watch it.
Oh, no kidding.
All right, pick one. Pass or shoot.
Like, what would I do?
Yeah. Just off the top of your head. See,
Pass.
And the only reason I ask you is because I do know you a little bit, and
Yeah.
it's been an ongoing struggle at times, when you are a pass first kind of player. I think all centermen, particularly the playmakers, are a guy that feel like they got a dish first.
Yep.
But I know your dad and you at times felt like, you should shoot more, correct?
Yeah. I mean, it's the NHL is a shoot first league. But again, going back to like who you are as a player and whatnot, and my dad totally out of the picture right now. I know firsthand that I overpass too much. And sometimes you work so hard to put yourself in a situation or you get, I mean, your line mate makes a great play and puts you in a situation to shoot the puck and score a goal, and you pass up that opportunity. That's actually doing more harm than good. And trust me, it's not me being like, oh, I'm going to overpass every chance I get tonight. It's just such a habit that I've been trying to break for a long, long time. And again, I'm always going to be a pass first kind of guy, but definitely getting better year by year of understanding that when you are in certain positions, you got to pull the trigger. And I mean, it's very rare to get an opportunity to shoot the puck in the NHL. It's tough, man. It's tough. It's tough, but I'm working on it.
And I think most often than not, when I think of you and a lot of my teammates in the past when they overpass, it's just they're too generous, man. They're constantly thinking about the generosity of sharing a puck, and it's not an easy habit to break. But it speaks, I think, to your character that it's inclusion, right? That's what we're all about these days, right?
Goes
Including
back to
everybody, and that's what passing's supposed to be in the game.
Kip, and you're just like, I used to get more. I mean, still to this day, like I get more excited when I see one of my buddies score. I mean, that's just part of how I grew up, and I enjoyed that, which is good and bad. But hey, I mean, it's something that I understand. I got to work on. I've recognized for the last few years, and like I said, my dad has been all over me since I was a little kid. But when you get guys like Mario Lemieux and Matt Sundin, and I mean the list goes on, telling you to shoot the puck, it's really tough to ignore those guys. So
okay, all right,
I'm working on it, Kip.
Okay, great segue, because here's a pick one for you. Okay, you're going into an important hockey game, and you want or need some quick advice. Do you go to Matt's? Do you go to Mario? Do you go to Mess? Or do you go to your dad?
In a hockey game, I'm going Matt's. I'm going Matt's. I'm going
not
Matt's
your dad.
No, I'm going Matt's.
You're going Matt's.
Anything else in life, I'm going my dad.
Okay.
But in a certain situation, like say like we're going in overtime or whatever it might be, I'm going to Matt's.
And why?
He's someone I've looked up to my entire life, and not only as a hockey player, but as a person. And he's taken so much time out of his personal life and whatever to help me personally. And I know, like, obviously, when you're in the NHL, and for especially like a guy like that, he's a captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. For him to take that much time to work with someone like me at a young age, that's something you don't forget. So I don't care what anyone says, but he's one of the greatest of all time, and it's not even close for me.
All right. Okay, how about this off season? You got Netflix, Amazon, Apple, or cable?
Netflix.
Yeah. What's your series? Anything finished one?
Actually, you know what? When the whole quarantine thing first started, when I was in Montreal and like we literally weren't allowed to leave our apartments. For like 30 days or whatever it was, before we even knew what COVID to the extent was going to happen. This was in like March. My girlfriend and I were in Montreal with my dog, and we binge watched all of Game of Thrones in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever it was. And I was like, always that guy. I was like, oh, Game of Thrones, like what a terrible show. Like it doesn't make it. Who's gonna watch that? Best show of all time. But I can mimic that.
Okay, I'll give you. My wife got me started with Game of Thrones. Like,
okay,
it was the series for her. So now we're going into the last season of Game of Thrones, and like I'm ordering HBO for Game of Thrones. But then the second last season's over, and I'm like, I only watch Game of Thrones on HBO, man. I'm not paying for HBO, so I cut it off, right?
Okay.
And now the season 8 is starting. I think the final season's 8, I believe. And my wife has the whole neighborhood over in our theater room to watch the start of Game of Thrones. And I'm on Hockey Night in Canada, and I'm about 5 minutes from going on air. And she calls me in a full panic saying, there's no HBO. And it dawned on me that I canceled the cable on it.
That's
and she is screaming at me. And I'm telling her, this isn't really a good time right now because I'm about to go on Hockey Night in Canada. And she goes, I don't give a shit about you. And now I'm about 3 minutes away and I'm calling Rogers Cable to try to hook this thing up as fast as I can. And they're like 2 minutes to the opening, 1 minute to the opening. And I'm like, please don't put me on hold. Please don't put me on hold. It was one of the worst experiences I had going to work that night.
So did you end up getting it or no?
Oh, no. Right at the buzzer, baby. Right at the buzzer.
I love it.
They hooked it back up. But that's how much that show meant to her. And we get what you're saying about this Game of Thrones, man, because it's an intense series.
Yeah. But like, I'll be honest with you, as I tried watching that like 4 times prior to it, like 4 times, not even exaggerating.
Yeah.
And like, I have like ADD, you have no idea. So like when I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, this is so boring. I only made it through like the first 2 episodes. And I'm like, okay, this time I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch 3 episodes. And finally I was like, all right, well, I got nowhere else to go for the next month. So I'm just going to fully commit. And once you get past that 4th episode, you're hooked. And I was just binging it, not sleeping much. And it was the greatest show of all time. I don't regret a single second of it. And I wish I could watch it again.
Okay. You're on a deserted island and there is no Netflix. There's no cable. There's nothing. There's just 3 books. It's Work Shift by your dad. It's
Shift Work.
It's Max Domi, No Days Off, or it's Undrafted with Nick Kypreos. Which book are you taking?
I'm taking Undrafted, baby. All day. I'm taking Undrafted.
So, here's something that I noticed that it didn't dawn on me before, that all 3 of those books is written by Simon & Schuster. So, there's our link.
There it is.
You know what? Yours is a great one. It's type 1 diabetes. And congratulations for all that work that you've done. And you've been able to put it in a great book. And I know it's a bestseller. So congratulations on that. Now, I will tell you that I've done a few articles to kind of pump up the book a little bit. That's coming out October 20th.
Nice.
And I told this one story about your dad in it. And I don't know if I've never really shared this story with anybody, but I will share it with you now that I have you. But it was early in my career at Sportsnet, and we're covering a Leaf game.
Okay.
And I go into the second intermission, and I tell them, I want to talk about Wade Belak. Wade Belak took a couple of bad penalties. And I want to talk about when you play in that role, because I played that role. It's paramount that you show discipline at the right time and you don't take any bad penalties. So I do that. So I did it. I did the segment. Then we go to commercial break and my cell phone rings.
Uh-oh.
And who is it?
My old man, for sure.
For sure.
100%.
100%. Why are you shitting all over Wade? I'm like, excuse me? I go, Ty, is that you? He goes, why are you shitting all over Wade? I go, okay. First of all, I'm not shitting all over Wade. And why are you calling me in the trainer's dressing room right now? Shouldn't you be ready to go out in the 3rd period? Shouldn't you be focusing on the 3rd period? I'm like,
that's so him. That's outstanding.
I'm like, anyways, you know what? I said, for sure, I'm going to be in a headlock with about 3 uppercuts the next time I see him. But I do say in my book that it doesn't speak about anything except how Ty liked to protect his teammates. That's all that was.
That's it. Doesn't matter who you were.
Yes.
He had your back, so.
Had your back.
And Wade was the best. Wade.
I love that guy.
So much.
We miss him so much. We miss him so much. One of the good ones. Hey, Max, thanks for doing this, pal.
Thanks a lot for having me, Kip.
Want to wish you the best. Have a great off season in terms of, whatever you need to do to get ready. We can't wait to see you in your new uniform with the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Thanks, buddy. Say hi to the family and to Doug for me, too.
I will. Max
Take
Domi,
care.
everybody, on the Real Kyper at Noon Show. Our thanks to Max Domi. Wasn't it interesting to hear that he knew exactly who called me on the set of Sportsnet? He knew it was his dad right away. All the best to Max. Once again, congratulations on the contract. And thank you, all of you out there who continue to support the Real Kyper at Noon show. We'll see you next time.